All right, let's talk about this. We are now joined via Skype by Professor Mike Toole, an epidemiologist with the Burnet Institute in Australia. Professor, good to have you with us on the show. So, WHO labeling this variant of concern. How concerned should we be?
Hi, Jonathan. Greetings from Melbourne. This is the fastest that the WHO has declared a variant of concern. It's just 16 days since the first case was recorded in Botswana and subsequently identified in South Africa. We believe that the Delta variant was probably circulating for up to 2 to 3 months in India before it was identified. And by that time, it had spread all over the world. So this is the positive news, that the whole world now knows there is this potentially dangerous variant, and it hasn't yet spread very widely. But it has left South Africa. I'm concerned, for example, about the person in Belgium who is infected, who had not been in any Southern African country and had flown from Egypt via Turkey to Belgium. So it seems like the virus has not yet been identified in either Egypt or Turkey, but it is there. Now, I think they have two main reasons for concern. And we just heard then, one of them is the sheer number of mutations, particularly the 32 mutations on the surface spike protein, which is the protein that allows the virus to enter into our bodies. Now, some of those mutations we've identified before on previous variants, like alpha, beta, gamma, delta, but this is the first time we've seen all those mutations in the one virus. And so the potential for adverse outcomes is high. The second reason for concern by the WHO is the fact that the number of cases in Gauteng province, which is a very populous province in South Africa, has been increasing exponentially over the last 3 weeks. And it's up to more than 2,000 a day now, up from about 200 a day. So they're the two main concerns. What they don't yet know, and what we don't yet know, is will this virus cause more severe illness than, say, Delta? 2, will it avoid the immunity that we get from either being infected or receiving the vaccine? And we need more studies to establish that.
And so we are waiting for more studies and more information from some of these big vaccine manufacturers like Pfizer and AstraZeneca to see how effective their doses are against Omicron. But from what we know now, how concerned are you about this? Do you worry that the current vaccines may not work against this variant?
Well, I think whenever there's a new variant like this, and keep in mind this is only the 5th variant that we've had over more than 18 months, we have to be concerned about whether it will help avoid the antibodies that have been developed by the vaccines. Now, it's very important that the vaccine manufacturers do laboratory tests so they can look at the virus, the new one, and see whether their vaccines induce immunity. But probably more important than that is what we call real world data. So what will we see in the coming weeks in South Africa? Hong Kong doesn't worry me because those 2 cases are in hotel quarantine. They haven't been in the community. But in South Africa, we soon will get data showing us whether the vaccinated are protected, first from infection, second, most importantly, from severe disease and hospitalization. Now, back to the vaccine manufacturers. Both Pfizer and Moderna have announced that they are looking at how they can modify their vaccines. And they are mRNA vaccines. They're much easier to modify than the other types of vaccines. And BioNTech, which is the technical partner with Pfizer, has indicated that they could have a new vaccine developed and ready to distribute within 100 days. But that's 3 or 4 months.
Right. So
the others will be slower.
Well, which brings me to my next question is what should we do in the meantime then? Do you think that we could see a return of some of the serious lockdowns and restrictions that we saw early on in this pandemic, or are we better prepared now than we were 2 years ago?
Well, I think it's pretty clear over the last 2 years that the measures that we've taken do work against every variant. As I've just said, we're uncertain about vaccination. So meanwhile, we can immediately implement the less invasive measures, such as masks indoors. And I would think most European countries, given their increasing cases already, should all be mandating masks indoors. The other thing that we can accelerate in every country in the world is to improve indoor ventilation, starting, of course, with hospitals, schools, but also other indoor venues like restaurants, cafes, bars, where people gather indoors, often not very good ventilation. And this can be done with what are called HEPA, air filters. We can have a carbon dioxide monitor in each venue that will tell us the quality of the air. The third measure, of course, will be some kind of social distancing. And I would think we need to monitor the trends in cases before we jump into lockdowns. Now, having said that, many European countries have other reasons to impose lockdowns, the variant aside, because they are recording record numbers of cases, particularly in Northern Europe and in Eastern Europe. So that can start now.
All right, we'll leave it there. Professor Mike Toole with the Burnett Institute. Great to have you with us. Thanks so much.